MMA Oddsbreaker and Frank Trigg. That's Scott Jorgensen. He's in the middle of a massive text war. No, he's not flying a helicopter. No, he's not flying a plane. As most of you know, he's a super gamer. So he's up his sponsors, one of his major sponsors is a gaming company. So explain this Twitch. Is that what it's Twitch.com? Is that what that is?
Yeah, they're not my sponsors. So I got into gaming a few years ago, and I started doing it for fun, and then I got sponsored by Razer. Razer is a huge online gaming, PC games, console gaming, and everything else. But they got me into it, and they introduced me to the competitive side of Call of Duty, which is the game of my choice, Call of Duty, and it's based around being you can have 1v1 matches in Search and Destroy. You can have, and then all the way up to the 4v4, which is the full team. And anymore, they just added Call of Duty to the X Games. That's how big it's gotten.
Wow. Okay.
And so there's an actual X Games competition for Call of Duty, and there's pro teams. They make money, they win tournaments, things like that. Well, Razer introduced me to this and showed me that there's an actual competitive side to what I've been doing for fun, and you don't do that to me. I love to compete, and this. People are like, you play so many video games. How do you train? Or when you train, how do you play video games? What they don't realize is fighting is my sole life, and you, as well as anybody knows, you don't spend 18 hours a day training. You don't spend 12 hours a day training. You train 3-4 hours a day. Your body can't handle much more. You break it down if you do any more. It's just too rough on you. So with no other job, what do I do? My son goes to school. My wife works. We've got a manager at our gym. So we just I hang out, play video games.
Now, so there's some psychological studies done that the body doesn't know the difference because your mind's into the game. Like gamers, real gamers like you are, your body's into it because your mind is a part of it. It's just moving fingers and thumbs, but you really got to get your body into it. Do you feel exhausted sometimes walking off of one of these competitive games? You just completely drained? Obviously, it's more mental than physical.
Mentally, more than anything. But, it's funny because, Kit was with me my last training camp. And he's a reaction time coach for Ken Block, Big Racer. And so he teaches Ken all these different he gives him drills to work on his reaction time and stuff like that. And so he's watching me, and he's interested in what I'm doing with the competitive side and broadcasting on Twitch. And he's like, here, let me give you some drills to warm you up. He's like, you can't just jump in there cold. He's like, you got to warm your mind up and build your reaction time and stuff. So he gives me some drills. And so it's a full on from my perspective, I want to warm myself up. It's like going into a fight. I got to be warmed up. I got to be ready to go. The reaction time drills Kit gives me helps me with my eye-to-hand coordination and reaction time, obviously, but it's a blast. I get to broadcast on Twitch. I actually make money doing it now. I'm a partner. People subscribe to me at $5 a month, and they get special features. They get to play with me more often. I get ad revenue from it, so it's a supplementary income. And then on top of that, I get to do all these cool events, the big gaming website gave me a whole team pass to take a team to Anaheim. So now I get to go compete at my first actual event after this June 7th fight. I get to go to this event and play Call of Duty for a weekend and hang out with buddies. So it's pretty cool. Make some money, hopefully.
There's a crap ton of crossover between the gaming world and the MMA world. It's automatic. It's a perfect fit. But that's from the advertising marketing standpoint. Do you get a crossover physical as a fighter from being a competitive gamer as well as being a competitive fighter? Do you see any crossover physically and mentally for you?
I think the crossover for the gaming side to MMA it helps me relax. I do it for fun. I do compete to win. There's money. I do tournaments, so there's money at stake to win. Not at the pro level like a lot of the big tournaments are, but there's money. And I like to win, but I think it helps me keep that competitive edge. I'm competing, I'm trying to find ways to win, and everything like that. But the MMA to gaming, it's MMA wrestling has taught me how to compete, rise to the challenge, to not buckle under the pressure. Especially, that's one thing that I think it's helped me the most with is It's just a game, man. You're just going out there. It's not like a fight. It's no different than a fight in the aspect that I'm not going to die. I'm not going to be hurt. The worst thing that can happen, I go out there and lose. So I go out there and I can perform my best and, walk away out there and be happy with my performance. So.
Are you? What kind of money can be made at the top level of pro gaming? Like, are we talking millions of dollars? Talking hundreds of thousands of dollars? Are we talking thousands of dollars?
I mean, the guy, a few of the guys that I know that are professional Call of Duty players or streamers, and like, I mean, they're pulling, they're making the professional streamers that I know are pulling in like $4,000 or $5,000 a month just from playing video games and their streams, and that's not counting tournament money, anything like that, sponsorships. The big Call of Duty pros, like I think the top team that's won the last few big championships is called it used to be called Complexity. It's called Evil Geniuses now. It was actually purchased. A team was actually purchased as like because the revenue that it builds and the fan base and everything. So they were actually purchased by a bigger gaming teaming esports company that bought this team that's won like the last 3 big Call of Duty championships for $400,000 apiece.
Holy
Each one
crap.
of those.
As teams of 4.
Teams of 4, so you split that.
They get $100,000 each to play Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And this is all these kids do. Like, I know on Twitch, based off the subscriber system, there was a big thing in the Chicago Tribune lately, and I mean, being that I know the guy, his name's Matt, and his gamer tag is Nadeshot. He goes by Nadeshot. Hit his 1 millionth subscriber overall, like on Twitch.
Jeez.
And I mean, the guy makes 6+ figures a year, sponsored by companies like Red Bull. Monster Gaming's Monster Energy Drink is now involved with gaming, is a huge sponsor of things, and so it's broadening by far. So it's pretty cool to watch that. But a lot of people are like, "Oh, are you done with fighting?" Like, no, this is just a pastime that I get to goof off with, have fun, because I don't have a fight booked, or I finished my training for the day. What am I going to do? My son's at school.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's game a little bit. So, is this something you're going to try and get into when you retire in like 10 years from now? Is this something you're going to try to keep doing? Is you'll probably morph onto a different game at that point, but will you still try to move into being a professional gamer?
I don't even know that I'd be a professional gamer. The streaming stuff's fun. I get to interact with people. It's something that kind of fits my personality, and there's always new games coming out. It's just something fun for me to do. I like to compete, and so that's why Call of Duty right now is fun. But like the big gaming website, it's called Major League Gaming, MLG.TV. Actually, I know these guys, and I've been pushing them. I'm like, you guys got to put an EA UFC, like they call them team ladders, and it's basically you register your team or you register you, and you're competing against people. Schedule matches, put them up, post them up. You can accept them, and then you basically would fight each other, and the winners, each team has to report and all like that. Well, they put an actual EA UFC ladder on the MLG website yesterday, so now people can actually go in there, play UFC competitively, and there's actually money if you win the end of this. So say it runs a season, it's like 4 months. If your team's the top ranked team, like most wins and least losses, obviously, you'll get you can win up to like 5,000. I think is on that ladder, $5,000, and that's anybody. Like you could do it. You figure it out. You go in there. You don't have to be a pro gamer. So it's cool for that, and I get to have fun with it. But I plan on fighting for a while.
Yeah, I mean you're only 31. I mean you got at least 10 years left.
At least.
There's let's talk about your other competition coming up June 7th. Danny Martinez. Let's break him down as a fighter. I know you've seen tape on him. What do you see in him, and what's he going to try to do to you when you guys walk into that cage?
Honestly, watching Danny, he's a wrestler. He's a hard-nosed kid, but a couple things that I've noticed, I think he gets tired. He relies on his wrestling more than technical boxing. And he's and those are his big threats. He's a hard-nosed guy. He relies on his wrestling, and that's it. And honestly, like those are two things that I'm very, very good at. And when it comes down to it, I feel like I'm a much better striker than him, or a lot of the guys in the division. So with him, it's just going there with the same approach. I feel like I got shorted on my last fight. I felt great. We went out there. We were doing what we wanted. So we're hoping, this time around we just go walk through them, go in there and impose our will and stay away from headbutts.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
As best you can. So, what do you think he's looking at tape of you too? What do you think he's going to try to do different than what he's done in his other fights to try to battle you? Because he's looking at your tape. He knows what you got going on. He's going to try to fix himself. What do you think he's trying to fix?
I think they think that they can beat me on the ground. I really do. I think that they're going to push for a ground fight. What they don't realize is, outside of the Formiga fight, the only person to submit me is Faber.
Yeah.
You don't beat me on the ground. Faber did. Faber got me finally in the 4th round. He finally got me. But I honestly feel like that's going to be their game plan. Mm-hmm. Pressure me up against the cage. But it's been a while since I've had a good fight up against the cage. But I'm very strong at this weight class. I've done it to Faber. I've done it to a lot of guys where they try to put me up against the cage. I can turn them, put them up against the cage, and land damage. And so, I'm just real prepared for wherever this fight goes. I don't care if it goes on the ground. I don't care if it stays on our feet, against the cage, outside the cage, in the locker rooms. I'm ready to fight. I've had this. It's literally been like I got the rug pulled out from under my feet when I fought Formiga. I was 2 minutes into that fight. I felt great. Like, you couldn't have done anything but headbutt me to stop me. And so, the momentum there, I don't feel like I lost that fight. I don't feel like I fought. I feel like I just got my feet running again. And so we're gonna go back out there and kind of pick up where we left off with Formiga before everything, and go beat up Danny Martinez.
This is an interesting fight, and you're becoming more and more of a fan favorite. Every time that you fight, whether win, lose, or draw, the fans are really starting to get behind you a little bit more than there has been in the past. And it's taken a while because you're kind of quiet. Like, you don't go out there and talk crap. You're not going to get on somebody's bad side. You're not going to try and talk about their family. So a lot of the newer fans aren't really grabbing onto you because they just don't understand that that's not the way things are done. Not every person has to be a shit talker to be great at fighting. Do you feel that swell? Are you feeling that the fans are getting behind you more and more every time you go show up for these weigh-ins and show up to walk around the hotel and try to get something to eat and they want your autograph? Are you feeling that swell too?
Yeah, every time I fight, I feel like I gain more fans because of the way that I fight. And you're right, I don't go talk, I don't run my mouth. But you came from a wrestling background. Yeah. We don't do that. I mean, there's not very many of us that are that vocal. We're trained to do one job. We go out there, we compete, we win, and we walk off the mat. And that's that.
We had to talk when we first started fighting because there's only 8 fights a year in the UFC. There's only 8 a year. We had no choice but to talk. And I was going against Hughes, who doesn't talk at all ever, anytime. So I had to sell it. So I talked a lot just to sell it. But the reality of it is that that's not really my style in competition. Yeah. But I had to make things happen. Now with 54 fights a year, you just let the media machine do the talking and let my fist talk when I actually show up to compete. That's the better way of doing it.
Yeah, that's how I feel. You go in there and you fight, and you I know that if I go out there and I fight and I'm impressed with my performance, every damn person that watches that fight is gonna be happy with what I put out there. That's because I know who I am as a fighter, and it just so happens like I never wrestled to be boring. I never wrestled to be safe. I always tried to score more points, no matter how big the lead was. I wrestled in exciting matches, and if I can make a wrestling match exciting for an average viewer, yeah, I can make a damn fight exciting. So
yeah, especially and that's the problem with wrestling is that the average viewer doesn't really understand what's happening, so they're not really into it. But if you can make what you did, you can make wrestling exciting. Making a fight's exciting is so easy. A couple more fists, a couple more knees, a couple more kicks, and all of a sudden, keep your wrestling base. It's going to be blasted out. Like, everyone's going to pay attention. So. Yeah, I like it. Well, Sky, thanks for coming on here. I appreciate it. Thanks for educating me on gaming too, because that's some stuff that I didn't know. Like I said, I tried to play as much as I could, just couldn't get into it. I had too much other things going on, and I didn't really understand the competitive side of it as much as I should have. And that's great for educating us on that. And good luck against Danny Martinez coming here on June 7th. It's gonna be a great fight.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for having me on again. Appreciate it. We missed it last time in Brazil because of the damn internet. I couldn't do anything on the internet down there, but thanks for having me on again.
Always, Sky. Appreciate it, but we'll talk to you later.
All right, we'll see you.